Should Bob Ciccarello be fired?
I created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution. Welcome back to the Palumbo podcast. Of course, I'm Dave Palumbo, joined by John Romano, and we are going to be discussing, should Bob Ciccarello be fired? That's what they're calling for on Instagram. Bob, a couple days ago, or maybe a week ago now, got into he was on the Cutler podcast, and I guess Jay had asked him about what he thought about Nick Walker, and he said that Nick Walker would never win the Olympia. And I guess Nick took offense to that, John, and he said, like kind of on his podcast in a kind of tongue-in-cheek way, who the heck's Bob Ciccarello? Like, in other words, like he doesn't even know who he is. And then Bob, came back at him on Instagram and said, I'm the guy who's gonna announce you in 8th place at the Olympia this year. And the fans were outraged, and they started saying that that Bob shouldn't say that as the MC and as the athletes rep. And and then Bob put out a statement saying, I'm not really the athlete's rep. It's only a ceremonial position. Now, the last 3 years, first of all, Bob and I have had back and forths online, where we did vicious fights online. But the truth of the matter is that we really don't dislike each other. Like, we shake hands and we'll sit down and eat, at the Olympics and do that. It's totally a professional thing. It's not a personal thing. But so I just want to put that out there. But the bottom line is that, if I don't agree with something Bob says, I don't have a problem calling him out, and he doesn't have a problem calling me out. But so these people are calling for Bob's resignation. But I've been saying for 3 years, stop blaming Bob for being the athlete's rep. And Bob, stop pretending you're the athlete's rep. You're not the athlete's rep. There hasn't been an athlete's rep for 10 years. So, but he kept saying, implying that he was the athlete's rep. Now that he doesn't want to be the athlete's rep because people are saying that if he's the athlete's rep, he shouldn't be putting down the athletes. He's now saying he's only ceremonially the athlete's rep. But the bottom line is, and I'm going to get your opinion, obviously, because I know you have a strong opinion on this, is that I believe that Bob should be able to say whatever he wants. It's called freedom of speech. Once you start taking away people's freedom of speech, okay, whether it be Bob, me, you, Chris, who's ever out there, now you're not really getting anyone's opinion on anything anymore. You're getting everyone just agreeing with the general consensus of fans out there. And that's just not acceptable in my book.
Well, there's a couple things to unpack here. First of all, I like Bob. I think Bob is a really important element in our world. So I'm glad we have him. For good, better, or worse, he's like Sean Ray. You need guys like that.
We don't really need Sean Ray, but Bob is definitely as a contributor.
I mean, in terms of perspective, I mean, if you want to get, if you want some depth into what we're doing, you got to have the heels, you got to have the good guys, you got to have the guys in the middle, you got to have a little mix of everybody. Yeah. All right. But as far as Bob goes, the athlete's rep thing was always bothered me because it was. Sorry about that.
It's okay. You're good. You got puppies.
I know. I'm feeling I should lock them in the freaking cage. I think I might have to do that.
They're like having little kids, that are running around the house.
Worse. Because I don't know. I don't want to get into
it. Fine. Go ahead. You're good.
Anyway, so Bob, as athlete's rep, to me was always kind of like locking the fox in the hen house with the microwave. Mm-hmm. It was just kind of really stupid. to make him, because he works for the company. You can't have an athlete's rep that works for the company that you're not repping. They rep the athletes. The athletes work for the company, yet the company man is the athlete's rep. That just makes no sense. But that's not Bob's fault.
Right.
Bob fills the role. To say that it's ceremonial, I think that's really kicking yourself in the teeth. I wouldn't have done that. But be that as it may, Bob is Bob. I love his voice. I think he's a good guy, and I think he's an important element of our community. That said, I agree with you 100%. He should be able to say whatever the fuck he wants, especially because he's got the cred to say whatever the hell he wants.
Right.
So Nick Walker, on the other hand, does not have the cred. Nick Walker's only competed 3 times as a pro. And in fact, he's not.
It's been more than that. Yeah, but
as a pro.
Yeah.
Then why did he sit out the Olympia and not want to compete in it because he didn't want to ruin his placings?
Well, he obviously didn't like the way he looked. So I mean, which we could debate whether that was a good move or not, and we have debated that. But bring it back to the Bob Chickerill thing. Bob is, whether you like him or not, he has an opinion on the industry. He's been competing for 100 years, like all of us, and he can give his opinion, and he should be allowed to give his opinion anytime he wants, because he's earned that right, just like anyone else on the internet can give their opinion. You don't have to listen to it, and there shouldn't be a conflict of interest just because he's the MC of the Olympia, or just because he's a perceived athlete's rep when he's not. So in defense of him, he's not the athlete's rep. He hasn't been the athlete's rep for over 10 years, like I said, maybe more. He was the last athlete's rep, but he's not the athlete's rep. There is no athlete's rep. And so he could really say whatever he wants. And you know what? You might not like his delivery of the message. I mean, he could have said, well, I don't think in the current state of bodybuilding, maybe I don't think Nick will ever win the Olympia. But he kind of said it in a little dismissive way. And maybe it rubbed some people the wrong way, but that's okay because, we know that these people, John, have crazy fans, right? The Sam Sulek fans, the C-Bum fans, if you insult their guy, they're going to go to war on you. And that's really what they did on Bob. Now, I'm not defending Bob but I'm also not saying that I agree. I'm not saying I agree with Bob, but I'm defending his right to say whatever he wants. I don't think that Nick is going to place 8th at the Olympia. I think he's going to do better than that. Probably be top 5. And I also don't think that I don't think that I wouldn't say that Nick will never win the Olympia, because I've seen Branch Warren almost win the Olympia and no one thought that was possible. Right. He was amazing that one year. He came in second to Cutler. So Nick is the kind of guy who's always waiting in the wings. And if guys are off, he's going to knock them off. So even the guys that are better than him genetically, he can beat them if they're off, if they're conditioning. So you can't. I don't think that was an accurate statement Bob made. It was, it was a prediction, but I wouldn't say it was an accurate assessment. But once again, he has the right to say whatever he wants. Now, the latest Bob seems to be in the news a lot. We haven't heard from Bob in a long time. Now Bob's in the news. He made a statement about the Arnold Classic. Did you see that? About why he's no longer seeing that?
Uh-huh.
Let me read that.
Yeah, to get it absolutely correct.
So I want to get it. Yeah, I want to. See, he went on to basically say that, he's not emceeing the Arnold anymore, and blah 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 blah. And let me see if I have this thing here. I don't even know where I put it.
I wish he had not picked the number 8. That's just the only gripe I have.
Well, but I'm saying you might not agree with the fact that he said Nick would be 8th, but he can say that if he wants. That's his prediction. When we make predictions, who's going to win the Olympia, does anyone say, how dare you put that guy in 3rd place? I mean, that's just your opinion, right?
Well, I mean, Bob could have said something like, I'm never going to be, as long as I'm an announcer, I'm never announcing you as Mr. Olympia. He could have said something like that. But
I mean, I think he was trying to get back at what Nick was dismissing him as if like he was insignificant. And
look, the significance of the top tier pros is based on how many times they compete and how close they get to the ring. So Nick just does. I just don't think Nick has been here long enough as a pro to think that he can elbow his way into the top spot and dismiss dismiss somebody like Chick, who's been around for 35 years and has a lot of cred. So, if anything, Walker should be respecting Bob because of Bob's tenure and his position in the whole thing. Look, people say things that they shouldn't say. To hold it against them is a matter of conjecture, but I think Bob was trying to be funny, was trying to be tongue-in-cheek, and he pulled it off in a way that was a little controversial, okay?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm still laughing. I thought it was funny.
This is how I interpreted the whole thing, and maybe you can tell me if I'm wrong. Like, Bob made a statement on Jay's thing, and he said, Nick is never going to win the Olympia. Nick didn't really attack Bob. He just was like, "Who's Bob Ciccarello?" Like, as if like Bob's insignificant. But he didn't. Right. He didn't. That was not really a really insignificant. That was not like I'm gonna fucking go F your mother or something like that. It was kind of just like a tongue-in-cheeky, dismissive like statement about Bob, like, "Oh, who the heck's Bob? What does Bob know?" That kind of thing. But then Bob took it personally and came back at Nick in a personal way, which is fine. I mean, he's entitled to that, So, I mean, let's see if Bob's right. I mean, if Bob's right, he comes in 8th place, then Bob gets the last laugh.
No, that's going to be horrible because then everybody's going to scream, "It's fixed."
No, it won't. No, it won't. No, but if no one's fixing any of these Olympians.
No, but I'm saying that the optics of impropriety, if that happens.
I don't believe so. I think people will say Bob was right, but I think if Nick is 1 place higher, 7th, they'll say, "See, Bob, you didn't know what you were talking about." That's exactly what it is. But getting back to the Bob Arnold thing, so Bob was usually the MC of the Arnold the last couple of years. Right. And he didn't do it this year. David Bates took his place. And supposedly, his explanation online was that that the Arnold was very disorganized and they didn't know what they were doing. They didn't have their act together and it was very unprofessional. And I can't really agree with that because I go there and it's a very well-run show.
It's one of the best. Yeah.
I saw Brian Powers put out a statement saying that, they have professional people who do this. It's a very professionally run show and all the feedback is really good. And he didn't really put Bob that. He goes, "I wish Bob the best in his endeavor." So I applaud Brian Powers because I know Brian is a guy that will come back at usually pretty hard.
That was classy.
He did a good job on that. Yep. Whatever the reason Bob's not there, I don't know. But there is obviously, and this is what I want to get your opinion on. There is some beef between the Arnold and the Olympia people now.
Yes.
Dan didn't even go to the Arnold. I know he was someplace else, but scouting out the Olympia. But it was. It seems like there's some beef there between those two guys. I mean, is that good for business or is that bad for business in your mind?
It's good for business.
That's what I think.
Look at the WWE. Come on, remember those scenes that Triple H used to film with, I forgot who, where he breaks into his house with a sledgehammer. He tries grabbing his wife. I mean, all of that stuff behind the scenes drama is really good. It's really good for and especially in bodybuilding where there is so little that's interesting about everything. Any little bit helps, you know. So I think the beefs are great. I think we should have more of them. I think we should publicize them more. I think they should be actively pursued because bodybuilding is fucking boring. I mean, the show is boring. The bodybuilding is not boring, but when you actually come down to the 2 minutes on stage, it's boring. I mean, there's no action. There's nothing exciting. Nothing. So, it's a bunch of guys posing. It's a pageant. It's even an insult to call it a sport.
Well, the beef is really helping the athletes, too, because Arnold is raising the prize money. Then the Olympia people are raising the prize money. I was surprised we didn't see Arnold kick the money up for next year yet. But obviously, Jake had raised it to $600,000. Arnold gave $500,000 this year. He didn't, make any indications that he was going to go higher for next year. But that's quite a bit of difference from a couple of years ago, if you remember. The Arnold was like, what, 150 or something like that? And and the Olympia was 400. And I heard I don't know if this is true. Maybe you could confirm. I heard that when Pecker raised the Olympia, David Pecker, who was head of American media, when he raised the Olympia prize money that 1 year to $400,000 out of nowhere, I think it was like, what, 200 or something like that?
Yeah,
he doubled it. I heard it was because he was drunk. And he just threw it out. No one knew he was going to do it. He just threw it out. I'm raising it to 400,000. So, thank God for Pecker being a little drunk, and thank God for Arnold and Jake Wood not getting along so well because the Olympia and the Arnold prize money together is over $1 million now.
Well, let's talk about that because I wanted to talk about the prize money anyway.
Okay.
I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
You know this. You would know.
Oh,
the answer.
by the way, before you get into this, I just got a phone call from Jimmy the Bull. I got a video before, and he's at the once again he's at the hospital for something, and the guy stuck his finger up his butt again. I said, Jimmy, you got a problem. I think this guy is attracted to you because every time he goes to this guy's office, he's checking his prostate, and he doesn't have a prostate issue.
And he's not even taking him to dinner first.
I don't know what's going on here.
It's like an afternoon pop.
I know.
Some of these people are sick, man. Especially in the VA. I mean, that's just.
And you can't say no at the VA because they don't charge you anything. So you got to go along with it.
You can walk out anytime you want, but
you got to go along with it.
Look, Jimmy's succumbing to it, so two sides. It would be
a different story if it was a nurse doing it. You know what I mean?
The nurse,
the female nurse.
He'd be in there every morning at 8:00 if it was a nurse. Okay. Where was I? Oh, so I just hope he's okay. But
he's okay.
And he's a
hypochondriac, you know that.
No, he's lonely is what he's got nobody to take care of him.
That's
he has
true.
no love in his life. When he goes to the VA, they touch him, they prod him, they poke him. He feels like somebody loves him,
Yeah.
The one nurse he's in love with, but I guess he doesn't know her schedule. He's always going to the guy to get the finger up the butt. But
he told me I just stopped by to give a urine sample.
And he gets a prostate exam.
Now the guy wants to shove his thing up my.
There's something wrong there, man. Yeah. There's something wrong there.
Yeah, he's
getting back to the prize money.
Yeah,
I want to ask you, at an economic standpoint, how much wiggle room do you think the promoters of the Olympia and or the Arnold have to play with the prize money? Is there so little money left over that the athletes can't get a decent shake, or is it greed? What do you think it is?
I have an answer for you. At the Arnold Classic, I think there's money because the Expo generates an enormous amount of money. The Expo at the Arnold is way bigger than the Olympia Expo. Always has been. And there's a lot more sports there. So I think there's a lot more money available for Arnold. I think at the Olympia, thank God we have Jake Wood because I think Jake digs into his pocket. I don't think Jake's making a profit on that. I think he's losing money.
Jake's definitely funding the Olympia.
Yeah, and it's out of the beneficence of his heart and his passion and love for bodybuilding that he's doing what he's doing because let's face it, no one wants to dig into their pocket. Now he's got money, but that doesn't mean he wants to lose money. I'm sure he would like to at least break even. So I think it's tighter there, but I think Jake knows that the Olympia has to be more prize money than the Arnold. So, I mean, Arnold probably has more wiggle room. I don't think Arnold needs the profits from the Arnold. He has plenty of money in the bank already. I think it's a labor of love. So I think if anyone was able to jack the prize money up higher, it would be Arnold. Not to mention, don't forget, Arnold is only holding 3 divisions for the men and 3 divisions for the women.
Right.
And it's by invite. So there's only like 12 people in each division. That's a lot less money he's got to put out for hotels and airfare.
Yes.
Whereas Jake has got to fly everyone in. There's 90 bikini girls and men's physique guys that qualify. You got to fly them in. He's got to put them in hotels. Vegas is way more expensive than Columbus, Ohio. It's every division. And now they keep adding divisions every year. So the expense for the Olympia has got to be astronomical. And so that's just a testament to, that Jake Wood is really dedicated to that,
right,
to the cause. So if Arnold wanted to keep pushing that prize money up, I'm sure he could probably keep it higher than the Olympia if he wanted to, unless Jake just said, screw it, I don't care. I'm going into my pocket again. And I'm going to make sure that we're bigger.
Here's how I think about it. If I were Arnold, all right,
yeah,
I would look at bodybuilding as the primal stepping stone to my illustrious career. Where would Arnold be today without bodybuilding?
Right.
So he owes, in my mind, bodybuilding a debt of gratitude to create the image, the career, the lifestyle, the wealth that he has. Now, I don't know how much of it he has left. since he divorced Maria. But at the time,
he's got a lot, John.
At the time he divorced Maria, I think it was around 70 or 75 million.
John, he's still doing movies. He's still making money.
So it's got to be more than that now. Okay. My point is, Arnold personally has enough money to make the Arnold Classic the premier, most prestigious, most incredible show in the world. The prize money is what, 400 grand now? Raise it to $1 million. 500. Raise it to $1 million. He's not going to feel it. Raise it to $1 million. Raise second place to $500,000. Raise third place to $250,000.
Right.
Make it huge by our standards. It's not huge by regular sports standards. He's not going to feel it at all.
No,
he won't even know it. He won't even know that money's gone. All right. That's what he should do. He doesn't.
I don't think he even has to dig into his pocket for that, John. I think that show makes enough money that it can justify it.
Either way, my point is he's the guy. Arnold is our flag standard bearer. He's the guy. Arnold is the guy who put bodybuilding on the map. Arnold is the guy who reaped the most benefit out of any other bodybuilder on earth from bodybuilding. It would behoove him and us if Arnold would stick up for bodybuilding and say, $1 million first prize, 500,000 second place, 250 third place.
I love it. I love the idea of it.
If he did it, what's going to happen next? The Olympia is either going to cave or they're going to have to step up to the plate.
Yeah.
What's going to happen with Saudi Arabia or the UAE or whatever? Somebody's going to come in and fill the gap.
Right.
Overall, if Arnold would step up and do the right thing and stop pulling this Ben Weider shit, bodybuilding would be a premier.
Why doesn't Ben Weider's son, Eric Weider, chip in the money? He inherited $1 billion, right?
He hates bodybuilding.
Yeah, but so what? It's his father's legacy.
He doesn't care. He hates bodybuilding. His father's legacy is figuring out how Napoleon got killed. So that he just gives not one shit about bodybuilding.
Ben's legacy is the IFBB.
I bet, but also
Jim Mannion and I talked about this, and Jim said that without Ben getting on all those airplane flights, going to all these crazy remote countries and getting them to sign up with the IFBB, it wouldn't be where it is. No. He's like, we goofed on it a little bit, but someone had to do the legwork. Now, Ben, don't get me wrong, Ben loved it, right? He loved putting the little suit on with all the pins, the IFBB pins, and going and meeting with Rafael Santoa and this one and that one, and the head of the Asian Federation. He thrived on that. He was a diplomat, is really what he was, right?
Right, absolute diplomat.
He was like Ben Franklin when Ben Franklin would go and go to all these other countries and try to get help from them and aid. And
he was like Secretary of State for bodybuilding. No, he was.
I know. But that had to be done, because if it wasn't, you would have never gotten all these countries on board.
Joe told me the story of the first trip that he took. I forgot where he was going on the airplane.
Yeah,
like probably in the 40s or the 50s. It was a long time.
Oh, long ago?
It was crazy long ago. The plane ticket back then was $10,000 where he was going. So in order to broaden the financial benefit of it, he made stops. I think he's made 20 stops. They had planned to stop anyway. Everywhere he stopped, he got off, went somewhere. He made like 20 different trips out of that one trip.
Really?
Yeah, that's a tireless, thankless, incredible effort you got to put in for months on end and traveling, living out of a suitcase. But look, Ben, I agree with you 100%. Ben was the benefactor in a way that no one else could have done it. He was an absolute statesman, and he had the poise and the grace to meet with these leaders and be accepted by them. 100% good all the way around. But at the end of the day, he did die with $1 billion in the bank and, left nothing to bodybuilding.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of like a kick in the teeth. And I see Arnold kind of doing the same thing.
No, look, Arnold's been giving back, John, every year. He's still doing this Arnold. He doesn't need to do the Arnold Classic. He does not need the money. Okay, he does it because he's giving back to bodybuilding in his own way that he feels that he's able to contribute.
I think he's doing it because he's honoring the promise he made to Jim Lorimer is why he's doing it.
Well, he fired Jim. He got rid of Jim Lorimer before Jim Lorimer died. So I don't really think that's the
what
case.
Happened to the whole deal they had?
Yeah, they had it. It was always nothing but a handshake, and then Arnold and broke up before Jim died. And I wonder
why that happened.
Yeah, I heard Jim was not. That really hurt Jim a lot because he should have at least waited until Jim died to break.
Was it Arnold's doing or Jim's doing?
I heard it was Arnold's doing. I heard there was some controversy.
That's my point about comparing him.
I think him and Bob Lorimer got along. I love Bob Lorimer, but Arnold and him didn't get along.
I don't know why. The Lorimers were the nicest people in the entire world.
Bob Lorimer is actually running the expo for Jim Mannion for the Pittsburgh show.
Oh wow.
So that's good.
Anyway, but wait.
Yeah, getting back to Arnold, I want to ask this question.
Wait. I want to get back to my comparison with Arnold to Ben. Okay, because I don't want to leave that dangling. My point is that Ben left nothing to bodybuilding. He did a lot for bodybuilding when he was alive, just like Arnold is doing a lot for bodybuilding when he's alive. But I don't want to wait till Arnold dies to see what he's going to do if he remembers us. He should do it now.
Yeah.
Make the prize money of the Arnold $1 million.
Right.
Do it upright. You're probably already making it off the, like you said, off the expo. So it's no skin off his teeth. Even if it was, he wouldn't even notice it. He's got so much freaking money.
Right.
Do it for us. It's not like we're not giving back, right? So, the whole point about him being the voice, so to speak, the elder statesman of all of us. He's like literally the president, if you want to look at it that way. I mean, he is the top. People say, who's the top of the Democratic Party? Who's the top of the Republican Party? Who's the top of bodybuilding? Arnold. Okay. Yeah. Hands down, no argument. So I just think he should be doing. Forget about how much the Olympia pays. Forget about how much this is, that is, the compare. Just open the checkbook and do it up.
No, I agree.
Everybody's going to follow suit. It's going to be nothing but good.
Right. Well, let me ask you this question. Arnold is what, 80 now? Right?
Close to it.
He's got to be either 79 or 80, right?
Yeah, I thought he was 78, but actually he was probably 79 or 80.
I wouldn't be surprised if Arnold sold the Arnold Classic. I think he's, I don't think he's going to continue doing it. That's my gut response.
What makes you feel that way?
I just, he's getting older. I don't know. I think he would sell it, and then he would just still show up, obviously, because it would still be called the Arnold Classic, and I still think he would be the ceremonial face of it. But I don't think he wants the drama anymore. If I was 80, would you want to continue doing this? I don't know.
I think when you stop doing what you love is when you start dying.
Well, I don't think he does anything. I don't think he wants the responsibility for it, is what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, probably not. But what's the responsibility? It's financial. He's never, ever, ever going to spend all the money he's got. So I don't know. I don't think that should be a factor. The thing about Arnold, I used to see Arnold every single morning for years at World Gym. Every single day.
77.
70. I thought so. 77. He is a bodybuilder. First and foremost, that's what he is. His friends are bodybuilders. His closest acquaintances are bodybuilders. He feels the most comfortable when he's around bodybuilders. He loves bodybuilding. That being the case, I just can't see that happen, and I can't see him deciding I'm going to sell this thing and hope it's going to continue and be the best that it could be. But then again, who's after him? Who's going to fill Arnold's shoes when he can't do this anymore?
It says Arnold's net worth now, as of today, is $1.1 billion.
Wow. Wow, that's a far cry from 70 million.
The smartest bet was buying a minority stake in $718 billion assets dimensional fund advisors, founded by fellow billionaire David Booth in 1996. So that's where he made most of his monies.
All right, so that throws more gasoline on.
Yeah, there you go. Both the prize money to $1 million. Yeah.
So why won't he do it? I mean, come on. Give the guys $1 million. First place. I mean, if you come out of all the other sports on earth, bodybuilding's in last place when it comes to earnings.
Right.
Why do you want that image? Can't you give the premier best show in the world $1 million first prize when you're worth over $1 billion and your name is attached to it? That just looks bad.
Yeah,
it looks as bad as Ben dying with $1 billion in the bank.
You know what? As a legacy, I think it would be great for him to say, "I'm the first guy to give away $1 million to a bodybuilder." Because when he was winning the Olympia, he was winning $1,000.
$1,000. Yep.
Wouldn't that be awesome? I think was he the first guy to give 100,000, or was Joe Weider the first?
I don't know.
So I remember the Arnold Classic gave $100,000. I don't know if they were first or second, but
I think there was always an agreement between Joe and Arnold that the Olympia would always be prime.
More. You know what though? It really wasn't, because Arnold snuck in the fact that he would give away a Hummer too.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. That's it. That's right. That's what happened. What happened.
Yeah.
That's what happened. He had to keep it under the Olympia
prize
cash. Not the Hummer. That Audemars PK Royal Oak was worth more than the Hummer. That's a $50,000 watch.
Didn't Victor win that?
Every winner got that watch from. I don't know what year.
Because when Victor won, there was no Hummer, but he won that watch. I remember the watch. Yeah,
that's a serious watch. That's a $50,000 watch.
Wow.
Starts at $50,000. Goes up depending.
He might have. I think he replaced the Hummer with the watch.
At some point, there was both. I remember it was the Hummer and the watch. Yeah, I think Ronnie won.
Ronnie only did the show just for the Hummer. He said he didn't even do it for the prize money. He wanted to
do it for the watch. Are you kidding? That Royal Oak is a piece of artwork.
Ronnie would have competed. He would have done the Mr. Long Island if they were giving a Hummer away.
Speaking of watches, this is a great story about Ron. Just totally aside.
Yeah,
Ronnie went to a funeral. And he had on this insane watch. There's only like 2 in the world. It was worth tens of thousands of dollars, if not more. Richard Mille watches are, $300,000-$400,000 a piece.
Wow.
So I don't know what brand it was. I don't know the watch. All I know is that he didn't want to appear, too flashy at a funeral. So he took the watch off and put it in a paper bag.
Oh no.
And he left the paper bag at the funeral parlor. And it was never found.
Are you serious? Wow. Imagine finding that bag.
And it was only 2 or 3 in the world.
You left me tuna sandwich here. Oh, wait a minute. Never mind. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a terrible thing to happen.
Yeah. So, oh my God. So he really lost that watch?
He lost the watch. And it was
insured.
I don't know if it was insured. Probably it was. But it was only 2 or 3 others in the world. A Sheik owned had the other one. And it was a huge deal.
That's a very big mistake to make. The moral of the story is don't take your watch off.
Flash is better than no cash. Let me tell you.
That's right.
So I think Arnold needs to assess what he wants his legacy to be in this case, because right now a lot of people have a very negative attitude about it.
I know.
Very negative. They're calling him a sellout.
Yeah, we're in a world though where everyone is so judgmental, and no one's allowed to have their own opinion on anything. And if they don't like your opinion, they either brand you a communist or it's terrible. Because you know what? I don't agree with a lot of what people say, especially the left nowadays. And I still support their right to say it, even though it's bullshit. It's freedom of speech, and like RFK Jr. says, the First Amendment protects the freedom of speech, not for easy speech, for hard speech, for speech that you don't want to hear from Nazis and anti-Semites and racists. It protects that speech, the speech that's not good, because when you try to start limiting people's ability to give their opinion on things, whether you like it or not, you become England, essentially. You become the UK.
Yeah, but there are limits to that. You can't yell fire in a crowded movie theater.
No, because you don't want people to kill themselves, right? But the point is that you should be able to give your opinion on social media. You should be able to give your opinion. Look, Why are we getting shows demonetized? The last show we did was demonetized. I don't want to even go into it.
What did we even do? What did we even do?
Nothing.
I mean,
Nothing.
Nothing.
So freedom of speech is paramount in this country, and that's something that I'll always, defend to the end of my life. That's why Bob can say whatever he wants. Nick Walker can say whatever he wants. Arnold can say whatever he wants. And you don't have to agree with it. You don't have to like them. You don't have to support these people if you don't like what they're saying. But you have to defend their right and their ability to say it. And that's 100%. Really the take-home message of this entire show. Look, Bob, Nick, all fun stuff. All have the right to say whatever they want. And I'll support that. I know you support that, because I would hope that people would support our right to say whatever we want, because sometimes people don't agree with us either.
We have made a long and illustrious career out of saying whatever we want.
That's right.
So, and we've paid the price. I mean, I certainly have. I mean, here and there you have, but
maybe Blackman could put up some money to help the prize money go up. You think at least
funny how he just disappeared?
I know. Haven't seen it.
Vanished. Yeah. Not a single sign that he's even alive. Nothing.
You think he's still on Long Island? Or you think he moved to like Florida or something like that?
It's a good question. I mean, the last geography I knew of him was that they sold the house in Aspen.
That was a long time ago.
They sold the house in Setauket and bought some giant house on Long Island on the water.
Oh, really? Oh, good
on
for
the
him.
water. Yeah.
Good for him.
God bless him.
He's probably in a lab trying to, design some new cutting edge supplement or something like that.
No one has heard a peep at him. I think he tried doing a new supplement line, or he tried doing something of advisory, and that tanked. And that was it. And it's been years since anybody's heard anything from him.
Well, when I was backstage at the Arnold this year, and I realized that RxMuscle is the only media organization back there, it was like, wow. Isn't that crazy? Remember, we would fight with Flex Magazine and Bodybuilding.com and Muscular Development. And I mean, literally, if you remember, there was literally a fight the one year with Peter McGuff and Sean Ray. You remember?
Yeah. No, how about the year that D'Amelia and Blackman had it out because they moved Blackman's seat? That
was even before my time.
Yeah, Purbernell couldn't get up front, so Purbernell comes. So the strategy was to come in with this lens that was like this long. Kerr was sitting in the 12th row, and he's using this telephoto lens, and you could tell a quarter was heads up on the moon. And he was shooting from the aisle, and then he would get up and kneel down, and ushers would push him back in his seat. What a circus that was! Now, and the funny thing is, the really, really tragic thing for Blackman is that his ego and his Napoleon complex kept him from being the Joe Weider he wanted to be. He wanted to be Joe Weider, and he was on the path to being Joe Weider. When we started, when you were tirelessly building the digital side, and I was helping you, and we were creating the community and the forums and all of the contest coverage, the events, all of that we were doing would have built, if he had left us alone and let us do what we were doing and just sat back and counted the money, he would be today the reigning king of bodybuilding media.
He probably would have owned the Olympia. He probably would have bought we would have talked to buying the Olympia.
Yep. He probably would have bought the Olympia. You and I would be running it.
And there would be $1 million first place.
There's $1 million.
And this is a good way. We went full circle. So we're wrapping up right here. Steve, it could have been you that would have given away $1 million. But now it's up to you, Arnold or Jake Wood. We'll see who puts out $1 million first. For now, though, we are out of time. I'm Dave Palumbo with John Romano for another installment of the Palumbo podcast. We'll see you next week.